Hello guys, welcome back. Oh my gosh, that is lousy lighting, and it's not like even night yet. I am so terribly sorry, but I'm kind of just sitting here trying to get everything back together, and it's just my allergies. I swear to you, I haven't been crying. I had all that stuff happen. I took him out for his chicken, came back, felt pretty damn good actually, and it hit me. Just this random thought of this thing I could do on Monday as well hit me, and it's something that I could almost take a year and a half to do. I don't have to do it tomorrow. I could take like a year and a half to do it. And I had consulted with everyone from Ogu to Odin to Loki, and they're all really saying the same thing. This is about you. We can't tell you, for whatever reason, for me at least. Maybe it's my limiting beliefs, and I'll admit that. The gods haven't handed me a crystal ball and said, here is the exact thing you have to do with this. This is the date you should take it over. This is the time you should take it over. I wish it would do that because it would make my life a lot easier. I heard, okay, back here. So I don't know. And that's one of the hard things about adulting for you younger people. I have a choice between Monday to a year and a half from now to do this thing. That's a lot of time to have this choice, and I could even bump it further down the line depending on what other things I do. And there was another thing that I have about that year and a half to think about, to do. And again, like I said, the gods haven't come down, or St. Michael or St. Peter or anybody hasn't come down and said, well, here's exactly when you should do this, and this is why you should do it. And just trust us on this. Go with this. If like St. Michael appeared tomorrow and said, hey, this is the date you should do this, and this is the date you should do the other thing, I'd be like, okay, I trust you, Mike. And those worries would be gone. But on my limited field of belief, I was like, oh my God, should I wait a year and a half, or should I do it on Monday? Should I wait a year and a half, or should I do it Monday? And then I'm like, I'll do it Monday because anything could happen. The house could fall over. The house could catch on fire. The house could be hit by a tornado. And Loki's just watching me like, you have such faith. I said, well, Loki, I don't have this crystal ball here, Loki, to see what's going to happen. If I knew everything would be fine for the next year and a half, and better than fine, I was going to take one path. And if I wasn't sure what was going to happen, I was going to take another path. So I start talking to the damn cat because I'm crazy already, and I'm talking to Princess. And I'm telling Princess how my life should have turned out. You know, that perfect vision everybody has of that Norman Rockwell life. And how it has turned out. And I was saying, I know I'm blessed, Princess, and I know I have a lot of things going for me other people don't. But still, Princess, still. So I think what Loki did is he lit a fire under me, and he knew that would happen. I don't know where human thoughts come from. I won't pretend to know. I don't know that Loki put that thought in my head or not, but it popped in there, and once it was in there, it wasn't going. And I was like, so I was like, well, I should be grateful to know I'm blessed enough to have enough things going for me for the immediate now. And, the future is going to get to take care of the future. And I thought, well, when I was working with Lasanta, the one big thing about working with Lasanta, and this is going to be such a cheerful video, is to live each day as your last. It doesn't mean you go and you drain your bank account, or you get in a fight with the mafia, or because you're not going to be alive no more anyways, or you do something foolish. It does not mean that. It means that if this were your last day on Earth, after you got rid of the panicky part and the sad part, what would you do? What would you do? Don't literally take it literally and go, like I said, drain your bank account or flip off a mafia don, but what would you do with your life? Who would you call? Who would you spend time with? Whatever. And it's designed to, once you've done it for a while and got over the panicky part, it's designed to enrich your life, because you say, well, today could have been my last day. What did I do with my day? It's kind of, sometimes I do that every so often. I say, well, if today was my last day, I didn't do very much on my last day on the planet because I was grumpy all day, or I was sad all day, or whatever. So I'm like, okay. And I kept getting all these references from, God, and from Saint Michael, and from Saint John Neumann, and from Greek gods. Hermes showed up out of nowhere, and it was like my all-time favorite pin of Hermes. And I had stopped doing stuff for the Greek gods, so I was like, I'm like going to Loki last night, and I'm crying, and I'm like, why is this happening to me? He's like, why is what happening to you? I said, I keep going in circles. I go from everything is possible to I just must work with the Norse gods, and the Norse gods only want me to work with the Norse gods, and he's just let me go on at this point. I said, and I felt Dionysus trying to talk to me, and God's talking to me. I know what that sounds like. And I say, my God, say, blah, 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 blah. And he's just looking at me, and his look went from I'm so done with you to utter pity. And he says, is that what you think we do? He says, what is really bothering you? Because I was going to go listen to this meditation today. This ties in. I know the way I tell stories. Sorry about that. And he says, you don't have to do that meditation. You can just trust. I said, look, it'll just help me work through a lot of garbage. He's like, okay, fine, go do it. And I'm not sharing it yet, guys. I will share it in the future when I'm like, hey, this stuff actually really truly does work. I'm making great progress. When that starts to happen, then I'll share it. I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot and saying it'll never work, but I'm like, if I screw this up and it really turns out to be a bad life decision, I'm not taking you with me. But if it does work, then I'm going to share it with everyone because it was free to me. So why, share this, have this secret? And it's on YouTube. You could find it. And basically part of it, the basic core of it, I can tell you right now, is to think of what you want, what you truly want, but think you can't or should not have. That's the whole thing. What do you truly, truly want? And you could apply this to anything, to your love life, to your relationship with Loki, to everything. Everything, everything, everything. Now, we do have to be logical. I could want to suddenly be a 16-year-old Swedish bikini model, but that's probably not going to happen. Probably not. Maybe it could in some alternate universe where just wanting something absolutely instantaneously worked. I feel this back there and sense the rubbing of little paws. But other than that, what do you want from where you are now? Where do you want to get? And then you're supposed to think of what has to happen for you to get there. And how are you going to be okay about whatever this is happening? And like, if you want to manifest whatever, like the perfect person. And then we've talked about this particular video before. She goes through all the things of like, well, you have to figure out if you are just feeling what you feel about what you want. Like you're really afraid to be alone because, oh, if I go find this person, this is going to happen or that's going to happen or whatever. So you really have to do a lot of cleaning out your psychic closet and finding out, well, I thought I wanted to be in a relationship, but what I really want is to be alone because I'm scared that if I get in a relationship, X, Y, or Z is going to happen. So that's like oversimplifying it, but basically that's a process. And so for myself, I kept pausing the video and I'm like, well, this is what I really want to happen in my life. Absolutely. This is what I really want to happen in my life. I went through all these things I wanted to happen. And I'm like, here's what would have to happen for me to get there. And I could finally, for the first time, see how it was going to happen. And for certain things, I'm not trying to see how it will happen because I'm like, that is just beyond my tiny little mortal mind. It's just going to happen. It's just going to flow. I'm not going to tell the universe, God, Houdini, whomever, the chicken in the sky. I don't care. I'm not going to tell anyone how to do it. But it's just going to flow. Because I'm like, it doesn't just have to come from what my limited imagination would think it would come from. Because it's more than likely not going to come from that source. So I'm like, okay, well, I cleared that up. And then I'm like, well, what I really have to clear up, what I truly, truly have to clear up, and what is going to start the train going clickety-clack, is how I feel about the gods. And I have to work out, do I believe in my heart of hearts that our gods are greedy, covetous, small-minded creatures that we make them out to be, that don't share it well and don't play with others? or have the gods long before we humans existed, which that's my personal belief. You don't have to share it. And they all knew each other already anyways. And when we go running up to them with anxiety of knowing this outside God, they're like, mm-hmm. Because the thing is, Kibsip, there's nothing in there, Kibsip. The thing is, we don't know where a lot of our gods come from, and now we're just finally starting to realize that what we refer to as, say, the Greek pantheon or the Norse pantheon or something, a lot of these gods wandered in from nowhere. Nobody knows where in the hell Odin actually came from. We have the myths of his origin, but as to where the god actually came from, as in physical worship on the earth, we have no goddamn idea where he came from. He just kind of wandered in. They're not sure where he came from. He kind of wandered in, took over like a cat. I'm convinced that he should have a cat for the totem, not the wolf. He just kind of wandered in, knocked everybody else's stuff off the shelf, and said, "Oh, I'm good here." He took over. Yeah, it's kind of interesting if you work with Odin and you like start researching him. He went from this god that like almost not too many people were working from to taking over everything. It took time. It took centuries, but he kept putting that little Odin paw out and accruing and accruing more stuff. So, if the gods did attack each other, as we think in our mind, or they hated their humans for, giving their fealty to another god or goddess, that would have never happened because all the other gods that were already present would have jumped on them like a bunch of pissed off show cats, and Odin would have went running away. Getting insane amounts of laughter back there. But that's kind of how we treat our gods. And I'm like, we really do treat our gods like a bunch of temperamental cats. And oh my god, if I bring another cat home, Puss Puss is going to lose it and run away from home, and I'll never see Puss Puss again. Shut up, Loki. Only Loki. Well, probably half my audience and me too. As soon as I use that name, I'm like, oh, damn it. But anyhow, where the hell were we? Shut up, Loki. Damn it. Our gods aren't temperamental showcats that are going to attack each other on sight. I think we get what we believe. I was taught that in Voodoo. I was taught that if you believe that the Loa are these really precious, vitty, pissy, impossible to please beings, that's what you're going to get. But if you believe they're sweet and kind and good and everything, that's what you're going to get. Now, there can be exceptions. But by and large, what you believe you're going to get is what you're going to get. I was lucky Papa Legua could be stern with me every once in a while, but he said, I only kick your ass because that's what you expect of me. He said, if you would let me do this nice way, we would do this the nice way, but no, you want the hard way. And Loki's been kicking my ass recently because he's been telling me the same thing. He said, damn it to hell, woman, we would do this the nicest, gentlest, most awesome way possible, but you won't let it happen. You won't let it happen. I know I'm shouting, but he gets excited. He shouts, so I shout too. So for me, it was kind of an insight of a lot of this stuff isn't happening, and I'm not manifesting because I'm not letting it happen. Because I'm like, no, if I talk to all the gods, then the Norse gods are going to abandon me, or the other gods are going to abandon me, or what if, God forbid, what if I start talking to God again, and I fall madly in love and I go run away to a convent? This doesn't even make any sense. You're all probably like, wait, did I hear that? You're cleaning the wax out of your ears. That's how my mind works. And I had such a freak out last night, not even knowing I'd overdrawn the bank account. It's not overdrawn yet. I have like a couple weeks to fix the screw up. Because they charged me more taxes than I thought they would. When I had the panic attack last night, I was convinced, guys, now remember, the roof is sound on this house and everything, I was convinced the ceiling was going to cave in. And the ceiling was just going to crack open and fall down. Fuck if I know where that came from, but that is what I was convinced was going to happen. We did have a ceiling collapse once, and it had nothing to do with, like, a bad roof or anything. That fucker just went, and the thing was, the cat was looking up at it, too, like, and the cat just casually walked out of the room, and the whole ceiling went boom. Luckily, nobody got hurt. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and I don't even remember most of that, because I just don't remember, and it wasn't anything bad. It was an old-ass ceiling that had been up here a couple decades, and the glue just went. And I realized I've just been letting a lot of anxiety and fear run my life. I thought I haven't. I thought I'd done this. I'm looking up the ceiling. I thought I'd done this and get all this shit out of me. Thank you, Loki. And shut up. I thought I'd done this and got it all out of me, but it can keep coming up. And it can keep coming up because if it was being put into you for decades, like you attended a church or a school, or you lived in a home environment or a community where for decades you were being taught this, this, and this, and they were all negative, self-destructive things, it can take a long time once you finally start to do the healing work to take care of that. It's kind of like if you get in a bad accident. It might have taken a relatively short time to have the accident, but it's going to take a long time to recover. So it's going to take a long time to recover from this. You're going to have to get everything cleaned up, get to work on repair, physical therapy. It's the same exact thing. I have to get all that fear out of me that some god's going to attack me because I'm talking to some other god. But I'm like, it's really kind of stuck in there. And every time I think it's out, there it is again, because I was raised Catholic. And you were told horror stories of what God expected you to do, like saints pulling their eyes out and being set on fire when they were alive and being tortured. And no wonder I have issues. So it's like, yeah, but the gods are being really sweet about it. And Loki just been like, we're not trying to hurt you. No one's out to get you. The boogeyman god doesn't exist, but because you were taught it, you curl up in that little ball and you hide your little eyes and you try to protect yourself. And the universe is just like, here, I'm trying to give you stuff. You asked for all this stuff. I'm trying to give it to you. You're in a little tiny ball. Take it. And you have to relax enough to uncurl and look at the universe and take whatever it is that you asked for. Is going to take some time. I realized I have a ton of issues to work through. It was like I was berating myself because I was like, oh yeah, I was so on fire about manifesting and my future was going to be so great. And then one thing happens and I'm like going crazy. Well, it's a lot of stuff to unpack sometimes. And I don't share that stuff with you guys to share really heavy stuff and dump it on you. It's just, I think a lot of us go through it. I think a lot of us in our formative years, we were told, well, don't expect to become this, or don't expect to have that, or that's only for those kind of people, or, you know, that's not for you. Or maybe you even have people telling you that now, and it takes time to deprogram. Loki's great at deprogramming. You just have to keep an eye on him every so often, because every so often he'll decide he's going to express deprogramming, and that's what he did with this. I know very well, guys, I know enough math that I had triple and quadruple checked that account. I had checked what the bills due were. I had checked what the item cost. I know I did the right math. I'm not that bad at math. Loki just wanted to force me into a position where, one, I would have to go out anyhow. And two, I would have to accept that there are a lot of limiting beliefs I have, because I was like, why do I get, right when I get back to Norse gods only, why am I not happy? And I'm like, well, I'm not happy because I want to work with all the gods. It's not that I'm disloyal, that's just how I'm built. And I'm like, I want to love all the gods. I want to talk to all the gods and the angels and the saints and everything else. And I don't want to do it as special sparkle princess. I think that should be open to every human. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me, but that, you know, they can disagree and they don't have to do it. But for me, I think every human should be able to go wherever they want to or need to. If you want to talk to the Buddha today, and that's great, and then talk to St. Michael tomorrow, that's good, and then deal with Loki, you know, in between, that's fine. I think you should be able to naturally go where your heart and your instincts are leading you, and where, like, the universe is like, hey, remember this god, or remember this saint or deity or whomever, why don't you give them a chat and see if they have anything to tell you to point you in the right direction. So it is a thing too that I'm going to just have to declutter my brain and try to work to make sure my discernment has been on point, because I'm like, I know the gods really aren't combative and they don't really sit there and hate each other all day long. They just don't do that. I really think in my heart of hearts they've known each other forever, whether you believe it's because they're all facets of the same deity, or we're all one, or they've just been around a lot longer than we have. I think they've been around a lot longer than we have, and they're real, and to me they have individual personalities. But if they're all the same being to you, that's fine to me. Just don't beat me over the head with it. And they don't really have any cause for warring against each other, because what the hell are they going to win? Earthly stuff they can't use anyhow? They like earthly gestures, but what the hell are they going to do with it? Even if we believe they get the spiritual essence, and I do, what in the actual hell are they going to do with it? Because I used to ask Loki, now, they've told me the VR temples and stuff like that are useful, so please don't throw your altars away or anything, or stop giving offerings. But at the same time, they're not banging each other over the head to fight over a stick of incense or candle or anything else. It's this thing. So, I'm going to be working through that in the next couple weeks. And as stuff starts to really move forward, guys, and that train starts to really clack down the rails, then I'll be like, yeah, here's the video I used. And some of you might watch it and go, oh, I see what she got. Some of you might watch it and be like, she's on something. She's just not telling us. But I think everybody has to find out what works for them. The people in my family, well, thank the gods they're not blood, that are very successful, that have multiple properties and have, many, probably millions of dollars in the bank and such. They're the worst people on the planet, so it's nothing about being a nice person. It's nothing about being, truly kind to others or anything like that, because gods know they're not. They have all this stuff, but they'll take your stuff too. So it has nothing to do with your personality. I've figured out that much. It has nothing to do with your faith. But it does have to do with, I think, what you're open to receiving and what possibilities you're open to. If I can never see the possibility, truly see it, of all the gods and goddesses getting along and really not caring who you're with as long as you're happy, then that's never going to happen for me. And if I can't see angels or saints working with someone that's no longer Catholic, that's not going to happen for me either, because I can't see it. The universe can't force me to take a blessing. Loki can't. Loki can scruff you and go, okay, I'm done screwing with you now. You took his blessing. You took it. I said you take it. Loki will do that. Usually the universe won't. And the gods and goddesses and saints, etc., have been coming around to be like, hey, have you figured it out yet? And I've been like, no. So I'm kind of having a fire lit under me, and they're like, okay, we've been trying to do this in a nice way. We will still do this in a nice way if you will just get up and realize you've been wrong and you've been limiting yourself, and your worst enemy is you. Usually it is. Usually it's just a case of getting out of our own way, because once I went through that, what's going to happen to me, and I reasoned it through, and I went and watched the video calms me down, because she says usually if you're having fear or panic, it's because you feel helpless. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I feel totally helpless. And I'm like, but I have all these gods and goddesses to work with. I'm not helpless. And then, it's just a thing of examining the feelings of, okay, well, if I have them all, why do I think they're not going to help me? Oh, that's a reason. Well, is that reason so, or is that reason not so, and so forth and so on. You wouldn't want to live in my head. But I feel like it's timely for one of you, and if I don't see you, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I don't care what your gender is. Happy Mother's Day. So yeah, we had our Mother's Day early. I took him out for his chicken, and it was great. But I did have that little freak out, but that was okay, because sometimes adulting is hard no matter how great your faith is. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.